Hey all, this is 012 Boku coming at you with another review of The Cosby Show. That is right, The Cosby Show, Season 4. Not trying to cover the symbol this time, but soon we won't have these to go off of because we're almost done with the first half of the disc. We'll be on the second half before you know it, and using my complete series disc to tell the rest of the story of this. And I also wanted to apologize. I know it's been over a week and a half since I last did a review. Maybe even 2 weeks. Don't know exactly yet, but I had jury duty going on, which did not leave a whole lot of time to get things done 2-3 weeks ago. And then, my hours of work have been a little weird to where before and after I don't have enough time to do my reviews at all. And on my days off, I've been hanging with friends and things like that and doing other things. So, stuff's sort of been up in the air and doesn't leave a lot of room for that. And I'll admit, I old-fashioned forgot to do certain things and stuff like that. So, hey, it happens, and it's like that. So it took me a while to get through this current episode of The Cosby Show, which is episode 10, Dance Mania. And I have to say, this is probably one of the better episodes of Season 4 that I've seen so far, from the very first episode, Call of the Wild. And what I like about Dance Mania is Dance Mania has where Claire comes home from work. She has some tickets that a hairdresser's friend gave her, and it was 2 tickets to Dance Mania, one of Theo's favorite shows. He mentions that Theo Huxtable mentions how his friend Walter Cockroach Bradley likes Dance Mania too, and that him and Cockroach have always wanted to go on Dance Mania and dance on the show. So he's very excited. He tells Cockroach through secretive means, but also through means of just having fun, and they play it off, and they're telling everybody they're going to be a part of the show. They're very excited. They work on dance choreography, and Rudy even joins in to help him, which is very, very cute. Rudy's actually got some, Rudy, who's played by Keisha Knight Pullman, with Carl Payne and Malcolm-Jamal Warner. They all three had some pretty good dance moves practicing on the floor and whatnot. So, everybody's excited. Even Vanessa knows it. She's excited. And, they go that night to the taping of Dance Mania. And they're there. There's a whole bunch of other people there wanting to enjoy the show, wanting to, who like them, had tickets, think they're going to get in. And they all call certain numbers, and certain people get in. And then you have Cockroach and Theo who don't get in, and they're wondering, what are they doing there for, and they're let down, and they didn't get in, and everybody else is disappointed too. But they're saying, hey, they had tickets, they wanted to get in really badly. The dancing coordinator director says, well, sorry, that's how that works. All these guys had tickets too. It's just, now your day or your night. It doesn't happen for everybody. And they're both depressed and upset. The guy leaves, but then the guy comes back and says they need room for one more. And also, too, I forgot to mention, it just clicked in my head again right now, because they mentioned it in the synopsis, and it's mentioned on the show, that they can only let certain people on the stage to dance because of fire safety hazards. And, there's only so many people allowed to be on the stage, which is why they only had so many people go on in. But the dancing coordinator director has room for one more person. And Cockroach and Theo argue because they want to go in together. They're a team. They don't want to leave each other. And the director's like, well, take it or leave it. I've got room for one more. So which of you is it going to be? And Theo's like, Cockroach, you've wanted this, you take it. No, Theo, you take it. No, I insist, Cockroach, go ahead. And then, Cockroach just looks at the opportunity and says, all right, thank you, Theo, I'll see ya. And then, he goes on into dance to where Theo's watching the taping live on the monitor, and he's seeing, Walter having a good time or Cockroach having a good time dancing, and he's also getting to dance near Tina. And everybody hears about this and knows about this, and it becomes the next day, and, Theo and Cockroach are together talking about it, and then you have Cockroach and Theo's friends come out. They're asking everybody questions. Theo's, telling them how it all went, and he also tells them that he didn't get in. Cockroach is all delighted and saying how it got in. The friends want to know all information, and Cockroach, is living in the limelight. He loves it, but he actually gives a great nod to Theo, saying, hey, Theo allowed me in, so it was Theo's mom who got the tickets. Theo let me join the dance so I can do it, so, I have to owe this to him, and then it becomes all about the adulation. So Cockroach wasn't a braggart. I mean, he was a bit of a braggart, but he did give nods and props to Theo, not leaving him out in the cold. But, this leads Theo to get extremely jealous, and jealousy is just like permeating throughout the rest of the episode to where, when Dance Mania comes on, Vanessa and Rudy want to watch it. Theo doesn't, he was watching a Western, and, this starts a whole sorry. Allergies still bugging me and kicking my butt, guys. But, Theo starts a whole argument with Vanessa and Rudy, and, it all becomes this whole thing where he's just visibly upset. He trips over one of Rudy's toys. It's a toy phone. He throws it outside where it gets run over by a car. And, the whole thing is like crushed like a pancake when Theo is forced to bring it back in. You have Heathcliff and Claire join the processions, and Theo's just getting mad at everybody, losing his cool to the point where Heathcliff's looking at him, just wondering what's going on, because Theo's arguing his point to his dad. He leaves the door open for what it was outside after he brings the phone in, and Heathcliff just with one of these, I don't know if you saw what I was doing over camera, but nonchalant stares was just like, son, go shut the door. And, even Claire is sort of reacting that to him too, because they realize Theo's upset. They don't know what it's about, but he's taking it out on all of them, to the point where Theo, who's still arguing his point, to his family, who he's upset at, like, slams his hand onto the kitchen door, goes into the kitchen. Heathcliff, is looking like he's going to give a dressing down talk to his son. Claire, puts her hands up. She goes, tells Heathcliff to stay there. She goes to talk to Theo. Theo, is just struggling with everything. He can't seem to get his wits or act together. Claire asks him what's wrong, and, he tells his mom that, nothing's bothering me, but there's this and that. It's like how everybody got on there. And then, Claire's like, is it because, Cockroach got on there and you did it? And he's like, well, yeah, because, I saw it on the monitor. That should have been me. And she's like, well, son, how did this happen? And Theo, breaks it down. How he's like, how he says, well, I would have said, no, Cockroach, you go ahead. And he's like, no, Theo, you go ahead. It's like, no, Ian says, you go ahead. And then, I'm supposed to wait a little bit, and Cockroach is supposed to go, no, dude, you brought the tickets. Go ahead, be my guest. And then Theo would have been the one. It's like, well, if you insist, see a Cockroach. But, it didn't turn out that way at all, because Theo thought it would play out between chivalry, between friends in his head. And Claire's right, Theo is sort of in the wrong here, and I agree with Claire that, Claire's like, Theo, you should have took the responsibility to get on stage yourself and not just Cockroach. Walter, you should have took the lead. So because, you thought something was going to happen that didn't exactly happen, that's your doing, that's your fault, And she's like, next time, be a man about it and take control. If you want to have it, make the choice you want to really make, not thinking that it's going to be perceived how you do it, And she's like, yo, bro, I got these tickets from my mom. These are my tickets. I'm going to go with it. And, Theo seems to agree to it. And then all of a sudden he looks at his mom and goes, hey, Mom. And she's like, looking back, and he's like, yo, bro. And, she's just like, I don't know your guys' slang. But, the episode continues where Theo comes back in and, basically consoles his mom without saying anything. He consoles his dad without saying anything. And then he sits with his sisters, who are more than happy to be next to him, basically silent apologies to the whole family, and that's how the main meat of the episode ends. There's a nice little side story where Vanessa's helping her father, Heathcliff Huxtable, put up shelves, and Heathcliff is, doing the math for the shelves, and Vanessa mentions, if you could do math and do feet by 12, you could figure out the math a lot quicker. Vanessa beats him in the math. Claire knows about this math, and, Heathcliff is just like, what do you mean my way is too old? What do you mean I can't do it? So there's this little side story where Vanessa is, grading her dad on this by 12 math, and, Heathcliff basically passes with a C, and, he's annoyed. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He likes the method he does, and, even Rudy got in on it. So it becomes this funny little side story to where when, Theo's doing his argument, Heathcliff comes up and says, hey, I'm trying to take a math test here. And, so it was a fun little side story. And again, I don't blame Heathcliff, and even though Claire knew the by 12 math, and Heathcliff didn't, Heathcliff's face was even like my parents' face when trying to learn the new math that we were learning in grade school, high school, and etc. It's like, you do math like this now? So again, I understand where Heathcliff is coming from. I guarantee some of this new math I couldn't even get today, if we even know math at all, because that's how far our education system has fallen. I won't get into that now, but you guys know what I mean. But other than that, I have to say this episode was, again, it was a great episode. I have to give it to Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Theo Huxtable, played a great character. His jealousies, his anger, everything comes out well in this episode. I'll definitely also give the nod to Felicia, Rashad, Claire Huxtable, being there to console her son and talking him down and trying to be motherly to him in a great way that doesn't sound overbearing or basically calling him stupid was really well done. I'll also give it to Carl Payne, Walter Cockroach Bradley, how he got in. Theo and Cockroach always having great chemistry together. Carl Payne and Malcolm-Jamal Warner's chemistry was always on point. And I will also mention, in a little side note, and it even said this on the website I looked this episode up, this is the TV debut of Adam Sandler in 1987 on The Cosby Show, where he plays Theo and Cockroach's friend, Smitty. They also had another returning friend who was Troy Winbush, who played their friend Denny, who I think was used in other episodes and things like that. But yeah, this is where Adam Sandler got his acting chops and was The Cosby Show, a very, very young Adam Sandler. And again, the episode was a very fun episode, and I love how it comes together to where we can take our anger out on people, but we can fix things, but also never assume when something is going to be yours or it's a shoo-in. And I struggle with this too, where you lack assertiveness, and if you lack assertiveness, something is never going to completely go your way. I have fallen victim to that, and I have blamed other people for that too. So, it's a fun little episode, but what do you guys think? Did you guys like this episode too? Again, have you seen any part of The Cosby Show? Just let me know down in the comments below, and we'll get this discussion going. Till then, on one, two, boku. Sorry for my allergies and being behind a bit. I'll talk to you later.